I hate this movie. I hate this movie more than the goddamn life itself. I hate it more than COVID. I hate it more than the war in Ukraine. I hate it more than gluten. I hate this movie so fucking much that I want to kill any living being within me if I'm as much as asked to talk about this movie. I hate it to the point of wanting to pull out my intestines with my bare fucking hands right through the skin on my belly. Words cannot fucking describe how much I hate this movie. I hate it more than I've hated any other idiotic spoof movie in the past few decades, and there are some goddamn contenders out there. I hate it for every single reason that a filmmaker ought to hate a movie, or a film critic, or a film buff, or even a regular film goer. I can't even stomach the idea that this movie exists on the same goddamn planet as I do, but YouTube algorithms have spoken, fuck you guys, and I have to review this garbage. So let's begin. Drink it in, viewer, this is the best part of the film. The fucking Lionsgate logo. We open to... You know what? This movie is so goddamn lazy with its parodies that I'll just list them off as I see them. After all, if this piece of shit is lazy, why should I put any effort into this? So let me fucking start my listing. Hell, I had to go to Wikipedia to check all of these items and I still didn't manage to find all of them. The fucking assholes who made this film must have been smoking crack while making them. Anyway, here are 4 goddamn parodies in the opening scenes of the movie alone. We have 10,000 BC, American Gladiators, Amy Winehouse, and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Remember good spoofs? Remember Airplane and Naked Gun? Or what about all those cool Brooks film? Like Robin Hood and Men in Tights? That was awesome. This isn't awesome. It's cancer. So, this is our protagonist. Let's call him Tumor. And we'll call his friend Smegma. So, Tumor and Smegma break up because she fucked a black guy and a man led. And no, that's not really the plot. And no, I do not fucking care. Yes, the movie dovetails into a fucking Sweet 16 party with Dr. Phil appearing for some goddamn reason. There's the black best friend, his Kim Kardashian girlfriend, the guy from No Country for Old Men, the idiots from Superbad, the whore from Wanted, the WWE Divas wrestling ripoff, Elliot Page before he claimed to be a he, and all capped off with high school ass raping musical. Hell, even the fucking HSM reference can't go on without an additional reference. They do the idiotic Soulja Boy dance, then shoehorn Justin Timberlake in the song. And just to hammer in the fact that this movie's lit from the late 2000s, here is a dated Jessica Simpson reference. Fuck this movie and its putrid asshole. Finally, some goddamn plot. So the pieces of shit, including Tumor, Smegma, Black Man, Kardashian, and the pregnant woman whom I'll call cunt, all get out to see an asteroid hit the Earth and... Fuck me. Another reference? Really? Hannah fucking Montana? This is the best we've got? Oh, and a glorified superhero ripoff to boot. Guess how many of those we're about to see in this absolute child molestation of a movie? Yes, that is the Day After Tomorrow ripoff. No, I will not acknowledge it. Yes, the whore-ass brigade is moving to an abandoned area to hide from the damn thing. Yes, they meet up with the women from Sex and the I Will Fuck Your Mother City. And yes, the pregnant cunt fights the Carrie Bradshaw ripoff. And I fucking hate this movie. I hate it. Honestly, it's hard enough to watch this horse shit, let alone write these lines. Viewer, I've subjected you to some shit before, like The Lion King and The Beauty and the Beast. You know, the CGI ones. But as god-awful as those movies are, they at least have one fucking shred of decency to them. It's not much, and they're definitely not good in any way, shape, or form. But at least, you can watch them and not feel dirty after finishing. This piece of shit, though, I need 7 showers just from that one scene where pregnant cunt blows her water all over the main cast. It's that fucking revolting. Oh look, a jumper scene and a Narnia scene. How original. How fucking retardedly original. I want to say that this is one of the scenes where there's at least some originality. In other words, it's not a reference to any other movie, but I honestly can't fucking tell. They also did some idiotic references to a mobile phone company for some reason. Here's the thing if you want to combine 2 movies for a joke. Do not combine Enchanted and Step Up. Those two don't work together and will only end up alienating most of the audience. Well, if there's any audience left at this point, we're barely halfway into this pile of garbage, and people already probably want to kill themselves. Imagine parodying Twister, a movie that was at that point more than half a decade old. Now, there's nothing wrong with parodying old movies. Hell, some of the best parody spoofs do just that, but if you want to be the kind of guy who spoofs contemporary horse shit, why go after a disaster flick that's around 12 years too old for anyone to really care? Well, anyway, how do they stop the Twister from Twister? Yes, we have no less than two Marvel heroes and a Dark Horse comic staple appearing in what was to be a spoof on disaster films. You know what worked in old spoofs and parodies? Let me break it down for you. Let me actually break character for a baby murdering second and explain just why these new movies are such ass and the old ones so timeless. When you look at Airplane, the premise remains the same. It's a disaster film based on airplane rides gone wrong. Then look at Naked Gun or Loaded Weapon. Ass off the walls as they can get, they are still procedural crime drama parodies at their core, meaning the main subject of ridicule is the cops themselves. Robin Hood and Men in Tights follow the same principle. It's at its core a retelling of an old English legend. In other words, all of them have a solid theme and revolve around the same basic concept. These new piece of shit films don't do that. They simply splash together several different popular current films and figure out the remnants of the story there. I mean, Meet the Spartans has Spartan soldiers going after Britney Spears, the guy from Borat, Venom, and there's some even elements from Meet Her Parents there. It's a mishmash of stupidity. See, these same idiots that worked on these films also wrote Scary Movie alongside the Wayans brothers. Back then, even they knew that a parody film has to have a single main premise. In that film, it was slasher films, but mostly centered around Scream, which was huge at the time. And that's why people like me, who hate these new spoof films, still kind of tolerate Scary Movie. At least it followed a solid formula and threw in a few catchy scenes there. And yes, I'm avoiding to talk about the film at this point because it's just so pathetically bad. I hate it so very much. You know, it's really telling when the only scene here that doesn't necessarily rip other movies off contain nothing but disgusting shock humor. Like, who thought this was funny? Or this? Or this? Jesus, the guy smears shit all over his face for a total of 1 whole minute. Or maybe less, but it sure felt longer than that. Yes, those are the chipmunks. They're indeed being used as a horror cliche, and they did just kill cunt in that last scene. But not before she proves just how annoying she can be. In other words, almost as annoying as actual Elliot Page today. Yes, they even shoehorned Batman into this pile of trash. And oh good god, there's Speed Racer. And our Prince's character is actually killing him dead. The only thing that would make this joke worse than it already is, though that's not an achievement anyone wants, is having a pedophile in the trunk. Which is of course what this fucking movie does. Hate it. So much fucking hate. So, our protagonists go into the museum, which in no way resembles the living museum from A Night at the Museum, and in this museum they find Smegma, stuck to the floor and pinned by the business end of a spear. It's an absolute disaster for them trying to rescue her, as they first try knocking her out in various means, and no, not even beating women can make this fucking film interesting. Though, they did try. You know, I feel sorry for this little actress here. Vanessa Lackey's her name, and you might know her from something actually half decent. This little lady has taken a leading role in NCIS spin-off, and while that isn't exactly praiseworthy, she can at least act in it and show her real talents. She has quite a range and can pull off a decent role if given the right script. Again, it isn't much, but it's something. She's also been a host of several reality shows and even landed a few leading roles in a sitcom or two. Obviously, the highlight of her career is the NCIS gig, and while it's a bit late in the game and not exactly the best showing out there, it's definitely not avoidable. But this movie damn near ruined her career. Like, look at her. She looks adorable, has one of the cutest smiles ever, is a natural love interest type character, especially at this age, and they give her a leading female role in the shittiest film possible. And you know the most god-awful thing about it? This was one of only 2 film roles this lady has had throughout her life. The other role, you ask? A fucking cameo in Fantastic Four's Rise of the Silver Surfer. And those 2 were only a year apart. In other words, this movie effectively ended her film career. Or at least her aspirations to act in movies. And yes, to this day, Disaster Movie is her only leading role in a film. How terrible is that? Like, look at this guy. He at least had a successful voice acting career as Anakin Skywalker. Yes, the same idiot who's BS'd his way throughout this film was Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars. His career also wasn't exactly stellar, but he pulled through. He left the stench of his godforsaken film behind him, as well as he should. And I don't even know what the black dude has done with his career after this. Damn, he also landed a starring role in a TV show. Well, it looks like all of that shit smearing finally paid off. But unlike these 2, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page to his name. Not that I'm complaining, Wikipedia is cancer, but still. Yes, I'm purposefully avoiding talking about this shitty film. I would literally talk about anything other than the film if I could, but rules are rules. So, we're in the final act of the film. Let's see how terrible it gets by the end. Yeah? Yay, I bet you want to see that. Well, let the lack of creativity explode. So, Smegma pulls the crystal skull out of her snatch. The gang of autists is amazed at the fact that she mentions the movie's actual name, and they decide to split up for some reason. I guess the world is blowing up? You know, for a film called The Disaster Movie, the grand total of scenes where actual natural disasters are happening equals roughly 15 minutes. And no, that's not an exact estimate, so don't fucking quote me on that. But it's still pathetically small, and when compared to the footage of pointless cameos, singing, sex jokes, gross out humor, and more cameos. But also, when you think about it, all the entire runtime of this movie is also natural fucking disaster. Yes, those are cowboys and Indians and mummies and the rest of the historical trash, and guess who comes out of the woodwork to fight our intrepid hero? The tumor? This barely dad guy, who calls himself Beowulf, is here to hit on Will, and since this is a movie from 2008, there was no Twitter active fan base to cancel the directors over this extended gay joke, and while I personally would defend anyone from getting unjustly cancelled over comedy, be it good or bad, idiots like the directors of this movie really fucking test me. Next come the climatic fights of the film, with the gay innuendo cracked up to 11, with Tumor and Beowulf, while the black man gets to fight an Asian mammal is the single most racist duel since that one time when white nationalists and black Hebrew Israelites clashed on the street with Antifa and the Proud Boys. Yeah, I intend to offend everyone here. Oh, and look at that, a transphobic joke. Man, I miss two things right now. One, I miss jokes at the expense of trannies. Two, I miss jokes at the expense of trannies that are actually pulled off well. And here we are. We waited for an hour and 7 minutes for Tumor and Smegma to reach the Crystal Skull Room. Of course, they're greeted by Indiana Lannister here, because I guess a tiny black dude is somehow a good joke for Indiana Jones. I have no idea. He's there for the extended STD joke, I guess. But he does get to feel some of that Filipino ass. So, our hero gets to save the day. Fucking huzzah. Our two idiots decide on getting hitched, and what better way to do it than with another movie reference presiding over their ceremony. And just before the fateful I do as a turd, this shit happens. I'm fucking Matt Damon. Yeah, people singing about fucking everyone and every single cameo actually cameos again. I swear if I could, I would blow my brains out right now. And no, those bloopers are not real. None of those people who made this garbage fire enjoyed making it. I hope this movie's brutally murdered with its bowels eaten by hungry crack babies. Now leave me the fuck alone.